Hey guys, good evening and welcome to the Clash Daytona Race Recon webinar presented by RaceX. Go ahead and pour your favorite recovery beverage, grab a pen and paper if you are a note taker. We are set for a very full, exciting weekend of racing. There is something for everyone in the family, every triathlete, every family member. It's going to be a ton of fun. So really, I would encourage you to check out everything and participate in as many of these activities as you can. So this evening is going to be largely informational. We're going to be going over the race, the logistics, the course, all of that. But there is a whole other event coming on November 16th that is going to be a Facebook Live event with the race directors where you can actually ask your questions live. So again, this evening is more informational presentation to you guys, but bring your questions on November 16th for the Q&A session with the race director. There'll be information sent out about that. It'll also be posted on social, so keep an eye out for that. Also, the athlete guide is going to be going out this week, so full information of everything that you're going to need for race day. So again, please, please, please read the race guide, know exactly what to do, when to do it. A lot of good information in there. So again, everything in there helps increase your confidence level and reduce your stress is what we want to do this evening through the athlete guide, through a Q&A session, so that you can have your best experience possible at Clash Daytona. My name is John Mayfield. I serve as TriDot's Director of Community. I am a full-time triathlon coach. I am a TriDot Master Coach. I am also USAT Level 2 and Ironman U certified. I've had the privilege of coaching hundreds of athletes from first-timers to professional triathletes and everyone in between. I am also a two-time Clash Daytona middle distance finisher. So last 2 years, I've had the honor to participate in this race. I'll be coming back for year number 3, so I look forward to racing alongside you guys. And it really is a great event. It is unique. It is something that I look forward to several years prior to my first start there in Daytona. So again, what I want to do here, just as a coach, as a participant, share some information with you guys so that you can really enjoy the Clash Daytona experience as well as have your best race results. Also with us here this evening, two special guest members of the Clash team. Andre Lepar, he serves as the EVP of Race Operations. Fun fact, he's fluent in 4 languages. So I am definitely impressed by that. I can barely speak my native English. Raced triathlon in his youth and has spent over 20 years in event production experience in multisport. Also on the call with us is Philip LaHaye. He serves as the EVP of Strategic Initiatives, did his first triathlon way back in 1986. Has finished 18 full distance triathlons. So that is a really, really, really long way when you combine 140.6 times 18 and over 15 years of event production experience in triathlon. So welcome, fellas. Glad to have you guys on here. Appreciate you taking the time to share information as well as be able to kind of speak for the Clash side of things.
Yeah, thanks. We're looking forward to it.
So as I mentioned, we are in for a full weekend of racing. There is stuff going on really from Friday morning all the way through Sunday afternoon. And there really is something for everyone. And I would really say probably even multiple things for everyone. So just real quick, we're going to go over everything that's available. And this is kind of just the racing, but there's a whole bunch more going on. It really is a very cool, exciting festival atmosphere. So really the fun and excitement never stops. But things kick off Friday morning with the professional women racing, followed up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon with the pro men. This is a very unique race format that these professionals are racing in. We'll see that when we look at the course, the swim venue is very accessible. Off the top of my head, I cannot think of a venue where you can see the professionals racing, especially on the swim course, more up close and really see kind of how the dynamics work and how the strategies work. So it's a really cool opportunity to come see these professionals race. Transition is right there. You can see them flying through transition, being very quick, very efficient with their transitions. Definitely learn a couple things checking them out. And then they're out biking on the racetrack. So lots of loops there. And then the run is right there up close and personal as well. Great finish line, tons of energy. And again, these are some of the top athletes in the world. So a really great opportunity to kick the weekend off watching these professionals. Fellas, any comments on that, on the men and women pro races?
No, we'll have a stacked pro field as we typically do. We're working again with NASCAR Productions. They're going to do a great broadcast of the event. So pretty unique that age groupers get to watch the pros up close before going into their own races on Saturday or Sunday. So come out, engage when you come in for packet pickup, watch part of the pro race. It's a cool weekend that we get to actually watch the pros. It's typically in triathlon, they're racing on the same course on the same day.
Yeah.
You know, they're a couple miles up the road from where you might be racing, but this is a way to really see and learn something from watching the professionals. So encourage everybody to come out and enjoy it. And then as John said, we've got something for everyone.
Yeah. And then later on that evening, something that's really unique, really cool, the Jingle Jog 5K. So this is a great community event. A lot of the locals will come out for it. It's a 5K fun run there, all around the facilities. And guys, I don't even remember. I've heard numbers about how many Christmas lights there are, but effectively it's a 5K all through. It's a drive-through thing, right? But then on Friday evening, they convert it over to a 5K course that you can run if you're trying to, set a PR. You're out there running a 15, 16-minute 5K, or you can push your stroller and run with your kids. The full gamut out there, right?
Absolutely. It's a pretty unique. It's a drive-through Christmas light display put on there at Daytona International Speedway. So it's actually the largest drive-through Christmas light display in the state of Florida. It's about 2 miles long through tunnels of lights. I mean, it's a couple million actual light bulbs. We'll have Christmas music on the whole way, some people running in costumes. Then we start and finish out of the plaza in One Daytona, which is a outdoor shopping restaurant complex. So come out, have fun. If you have someone coming to the event with you that may not be racing or just wants to get out and be a little active, they can walk. As I said, it's a really fun experiential 5K. I mean, you're going to be entertained the entire way through. So
Yeah, what a triathlete thing, where everyone else is going to drive it in the comfort of their air conditioned or heated cars, depending on what the weather decides to do, and yet we're good. We're going to go run it. So kind of a unique way to take that in. And then Saturday, lots of racing on Saturday. Sprint race. There are actually 2 races for each of the races on Saturday. And this is something that I appreciate is the intent of doing 2 starts for the triathlon, 2 starts for the duathlon, is to spread out the field. So there's going to be a lot of cyclists out there on the track. So this is really a good benefit to the athletes participating in the sprint races. So instead of just putting 1,000 athletes out there all at the same time, going to break it up. So the swim start will be staggered. That's going to stagger the bikes out on the track, out on the run. So it'll be just a great opportunity to have a very good experience. It increases the safety. So as a participant, I appreciate that. So there are 2 sprint races on Saturday, along simultaneously with that. There are the duathlon. So again, opportunities for everybody. If you're a triathlete, then race the triathlon. If you're a duathlete, not a swimmer, or just not ready to swim, not taking the swim in on this one, or maybe you just haven't had the opportunity to do a duathlon before, this would be a great one to take on. And then later in the day is the kids triathlon. So same thing, is broken up into age groups. So there is a race for the kids that are between 7 and 10 years old, and then 11 to 14 years old. So again, something for everyone. Something that is a unique opportunity here is having the sprint races on Saturday and middle distance on Sunday. I've heard from several people that they're going to take in both. And one of the things that's kind of neat about the sprint race is you actually get more time on the track. Of all the things that are cool about racing Daytona, for me, my favorite is those miles on the track, and there's actually more time on the sprint. So if you want to maximize your time on the track, then make sure to do so when you have the opportunity to do so in the sprint race. And maybe it's just a warm up shakeout for middle distance the following day. I also know a lot of people are doing the sprint race on Saturday and then participating in a relay on Sunday for the middle distance triathlon. So speaking of that, Sunday brings us the middle distance triathlon as well as the middle distance duathlon and the middle distance relay. So there are sprint options as well relay options as well for the sprint triathlon. So again, whatever it is that you want to do, however long you want to go, you can go as short as doing the swim on the sprint or do the complete middle distance. So again, something for everyone there.
Yeah, I think, John, you nailed it with something for everyone, fun events if you want to just race short. It's late in the season, so a lot of athletes out there will have banks of fitness. Maybe they're starting to shut it down for the season. Come out and have fun. It's triathlon's
Yep.
supposed to be fun. Doesn't always have to be about trying to win your age group or, set a PR. Just come out, have a good time with us, with your friends, with your club or your family, and engage and just enjoy being outside, swimming, biking, and running.
Yeah, and really, I got to say the venue, the culture, the climate, all that really is conducive to that. So again, whether you're out there chasing that PR or just there for a good time, this is a great opportunity. Makes it easy to do that. I want to point out the TriDot podcast. There are currently over 150 episodes. It is the top ranked podcast in the triathlon space, and those 150 plus episodes cover everything you could have questions about, including training, taper, nutrition, travel tips, gear selection, injury prevention, race execution, and much, much more. So whatever it is you've got a question about in triathlon, whatever it is that you want to learn more about, I can pretty much guarantee you there is a episode that's going to answer your questions and provide you with some entertainment and education. You can check that out on Apple, Spotify, or pretty much anywhere you listen to your podcast. All right, so as we head into race week, again, this is December 2nd through 4th. Excited for this coming up. It's a good idea to get in race rehearsals. So race rehearsals will duplicate race conditions as best you can. And in these race rehearsals, we want to practice everything. So this is going to be your pacing. So that's going to come from RaceX, but it's also critical to dial in your nutrition, your hydration, your gear, anything that you're going to use on race day. So normally it's advised if you can to go and actually do these on the race site. Unfortunately, not an option for us to go and do these race rehearsals out there on the Daytona International Speedway. But good news is it's a relatively easy course to duplicate because it's pretty much flat. So you can go out there, ride the flattest course in your area. But again, make sure you're dialing in your pacing, your nutrition, your hydration, your gear, knowing exactly how many calories per hour that you need to race successfully, what type of calories you're going to take in. Is it liquid, solid, combination thereof? Are you going to be providing your own nutrition, or are you going to be taking the on-course nutrition? Have all that dialed in. Same thing with your hydration and your electrolytes. Make sure that you've got that dialed in. Kind of a little note here that, again, I've done this race the past 2 years. It is in December, but it's December in Florida on the coast. So it can be a little bit sneaky warm. We'll talk about weather here in a minute, but this is something, especially if you're in a cooler climate, maybe by December, you're not really thinking about keeping up with hydration or racing in the heat. I will say I live on the Texas Gulf Coast, so I know a thing about heat and humidity. And I definitely had to use those protocols when racing in December in Daytona. So make sure you've got your hydration dialed in, as well as your gear. So if you use anything on race day that you don't use in training, so maybe you use like race wheels or something like that, go ahead and throw those on your bike. Make sure the brakes aren't rubbing, make sure the shifting is indexed properly, make sure everything is in good working condition. Plenty of miles left on your tires, your shoes, all that kind of thing are good to go. So these are done 4 weeks out and 2 weeks out from race day. The TriDot athletes will automatically have these prescribed within their training. So the point here is to tweak anything that doesn't go perfectly prior to that next race rehearsal or prior to race day. So again, this race day will kind of be your third time going through everything. So by then, you've got a well-vetted plan and you're set to go. This is also a good time to charge and replace your batteries. So obviously those things that you're charging on a regular basis, like your watch, your bike computer, those kinds of things, you're going to want to make sure that those are charged prior to these race rehearsals as well as race day. But think about those things that maybe you don't charge as often, or maybe have a battery that's been in there for a while. So this is like your electronic shifting, power meters, heart rate monitors, those kinds of things. Go ahead and get those batteries swapped out so you know that they're in great working condition come race day. After that, we're going to head into the taper. So the purpose of the taper is to rest and to recover as to maximize your performance on race day. So the taper speaks to a gradual reduction in training volume. So this is a fairly common mistake that we see, is that athletes get a week, 10 days, 2 weeks out. They just want to stop training and go full on into rest and recovery mode. That is not going to produce your best race results. So it speaks to a gradual reduction in training volume. Another common mistake we see is neglecting intensity. So that intensity is going to somewhat offset that reduction in training volume and keep your body in a state of adaptation, keep your hormones where you are making those adaptations, keeping the recovery coming, so that by race day, you're going to be in fantastic shape. The shorter the race, the shorter the taper. So those that are racing the middle distance triathlon are going to need a longer taper period than those that are racing the sprint. So this is going to be individualized to each athlete, but just keep that in mind. So you're training in the middle distance, you're training at higher volumes, you're putting your body under additional stress, so you're going to need more time to rest and to recover as race day approaches. Sprint distance athletes typically are going to be training fewer hours, have less to recover from, so you can actually continue training full on before you begin that taper for longer periods of time. So a shorter taper for those racing the sprint distance. And then for everyone, it's a great idea to bank as much sleep as possible, especially in those last couple days as race day approaches. That is where the body is making those adaptations the most, and that is where we get the rest and all that. It's also important to note that you probably will not sleep well the night before the race. It is very, very common. Very few athletes sleep well the night before the race, but the good news is there have been lots of great races after really bad nights of sleep. So you can help offset the effects of that bad night's sleep by banking some sleep earlier in the week.
There you
All
can
right,
stay
almost
in
time to
our,
race.
yeah, I know we'll touch on it later, but you can stay in an RV on site and get to sleep in a little bit race morning.
Yes, yeah, that's I will be there and looking forward to that later alarm clock on a race morning. All right, almost time to race. First, got to get to Daytona. So there's a lot of stuff to bring. My recommendation is to begin planning and packing early. So hopefully you have the privilege of coming into town for several days. So you know it's a normal trip. You got 3 or 4 days worth of stuff that you're packing, but then you also have to bring your swim, bike, run, nutrition, recovery, all that kind of stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff to bring, a whole lot of stuff you can forget, a whole lot of stuff you can stress over. So my recommendation is to begin planning early and make lists. For me, I have a checklist that I print off, and then once each one of those boxes is checked, I know emphatically that I've got everything that I wanted, so I don't have to stress over having forgotten anything. While traveling, it's important to stay hydrated. There's just something about travel that is naturally dehydrating. So I always recommend having a water bottle with you. Wear compression, especially if you're coming in for a longer trip, sitting on an airplane for hours, sitting in a car for several hours. Compression socks, compression sleeves can help offset any of the fluid buildup that has a tendency to accrue when we stay seated for longer periods of time. Next is don't stay seated for long periods of time. As best you can, it's important to stay loose. So my recommendation is if you're driving in every 45 minutes to an hour, maybe hop out, walk a couple laps around the car, get in a couple jumping jacks, you'll be good to go. Like me, if you're flying in, I've got probably about a 2.5 to 3 hour flight. So same, about every 45 minutes to an hour, I want to make sure I'm getting up, walking up and down the aisle. Probably will forgo the jumping jacks on the airplane. That'll be frowned upon. But then I also say too, if I'm staying properly hydrated, I probably have to go to the bathroom about once an hour. So take that aisle seat and make sure to take advantage of that. And then get in a shakeout run upon arrival. So a shakeout run is just an easy zone 2 conversational run that's getting the heart rate up a little bit, get the blood pumping. It's going to help flush out any of that fluid buildup that may have accumulated during travel and get you ready to race. And then, as mentioned, there is a really cool opportunity here to stay inside of the track. So as you can even see here from this picture, there is a massive infield inside the track that they know a thing or two about camping out in. So we are certainly not the first to camp there in the infield of the Daytona International Speedway. But I had the opportunity to hang out with some folks last year that were camping in the infield, and they loved it So you can bring your own RV if this is a lifestyle you have. You've got your own RV, or you got one you can borrow, rent, bring it in. You can just set up your space and good to go from there. What I'm doing is I'm renting an RV. I have no desire to drive a great big RV, especially through some of the tunnels to get into the track. So that option is available to actually rent the RV, and it's going to just be there sitting in my spot when I show up during the race week. So really looking forward to that.
Yeah,
For the
John,
TriDot athletes,
we have on the RV front, athletes, if you check out our website or reach out to us, we have a few RV rental partners, which they'll, as you rent an RV, they'll have it basically in your spot, locked and loaded, ready to go. So it's almost like coming into a hotel where you just pull up and it's there ready to go for you. And the nice thing about RVs, much like hotels, is there's a wide variety of budgets and needs. So if you want to just basic travel pop-up trailer, we can accommodate those. If you want to go with the, marble floor, a big old RV, full kitchen, bath, as your budget allows, we can accommodate those as well. And like John said, it's a huge facility that typically has, hundreds of thousands of people there for the large NASCAR events. Because it's just triathlon weekend, we get to house all the RVs in what's known as the DO, or the driver owner lot. So that's where all the drivers and team owners stay during the big car racing weekends. So if you stay in an RV, you're staying maybe 200 meters from transition and about 150 meters from the finish line. So no waiting in line for porta potties race morning, no battling people to come in for parking. You can sleep in a little bit later. And then your family who may be traveling with you has a place to get out of the heat or out of the elements. And post-race naps. I mean, getting to roll through the finish line, go back, take a shower, and catch a snooze for a little bit is pretty glorious. So having that the convenience of that is just really nice.
Yeah. And so we're going to have a TriDot zone. So I know this is something that is offered to not just TriDot, but other clubs and groups. If you've got several people coming in, they can lump you together, and you've got your own little community there within the community. So this is going to be, again, I was able to spend some time there last year. I was jealous of those that were staying there and had that community feel, as I had to go back to my hotel. So yeah, if you're coming in with a group, you're going to have multiple RVs. Just coordinate that, and they'll make sure that everyone is there together. And that's where there's going to be a ton of that fun. And as mentioned, actually we didn't mention yet, there's actually a tent area as well, right? Where you don't even have to have an RV.
Yeah, so we've added this year, we will have tent camping as well. That'll be down by the lake. So those of you want to have the full tent camping experience, or that's what your budget allows, you'll still be able to stay right on site, right close to transition, swim start, finish line, and staying inside the largest sports venue in the state of Florida. It's pretty cool experience.
Yeah, just no fishing in the lake is that's the one rule. If you're camping, no fishing in the lakes. That's frowned upon. So weather, there's triathletes are known for good reason for obsessing over the weather. And I will say this is a good one to kind of definitely keep an eye on. So as I mentioned before, it's now December. So for a lot of people, we're thinking Christmas and all that, snow on the ground, white Christmas. As a Texas native, not so much for me, but I do know it can kind of fluctuate. So historically, we can expect an average high somewhere in the mid 70s. Overnight lows somewhere in the mid 50s. Now, as most Floridians will tell you, this really can vary. So it could be considerably cooler than this, it could be warmer than this, and that's really where you need to keep an eye on the forecast and plan accordingly. So all those things we discussed during the race rehearsals are all going to be contingent upon what the weather does. So your pacing, your nutrition, your hydration, your gear, all of that need to keep an eye on the forecast and plan accordingly for that. Overnight 55, high around 75. That's great racing conditions. We had pretty comparable to that last year, but I will also say that once temperatures get into the mid 70s, we are there on the coastal area. If that sun is up, it does get quite warm. So I've experienced that racing these last 2 years. Not a lot of shade out there on the course, so this is something to take into consideration. So when racing in the heat, it's critical to stay ahead of hydration. That starts, as mentioned before, even when you're traveling and in those days leading into the race, but especially during the race. Now, it's going to be cool in the race morning. So we saw overnights 55, so it's going to be probably maybe around 60 degrees if that holds true when you're exiting the swim. So the first couple miles on the bike, or maybe the whole bike, may be cool, but that's one of those things. That's a trap that you can fall into. You may not have that same thirst response when it's in the 60s, but once it warms up into the 70s, you're really going to start sweating, and so it's important to stay ahead of that hydration. So even if you're not necessarily feeling like you need that hydration, just know that later in the day that temperature is going to be rising. So stay ahead of hydration. And then take advantage of the ice and the cold water. So I always recommend taking a cold water bottle at those aid stations. Again, for those racing the middle distance, there'll be 4 opportunities to take that left-hand hand up. So that's going to be something that is unique to here. Typically, you're taking hand ups on the right. So that can be a little bit of a challenge. So make sure you practice and proficient with that, and then do what you can to stay cool. And then cover as much skin as possible. So again, the vast majority of this course is going to be exposed. The last 2 years when I was there for the race, it was clear skies, beautiful day, but that meant a whole lot of sun. So I always recommend a cap or visor, perhaps even cooling sleeves for those like myself that are more susceptible to the sun.
And
All right,
John, one note, if the temperatures are a little bit lower than the average highs, you can expect wind coming. Typically in the fall, as we have those cold fronts that come down, a little mini nor'easter, they're typically accompanied by northeast winds. So if you see temperatures in the 50s or low 60s, double check the wind forecast as well. That may affect your pacing on the bike a little bit.
great point. Yeah. So we've already spoken about all of the opportunities for race day. So based on what you're doing, you'll have your opportunity and need to check in and get your packet pickup. So that jingle jog, everyone should take advantage of that. That actually starts, packet pickup starts as early as Wednesday and goes through Friday. Wednesday and Thursday, that is available from 10 in the morning till 7 in the evening. Friday, that shuts down at 5 p.m. So make sure that you've got that done by then. Sprint
And
distance
quick note
race.
on Jingle Jog packet pickup, John. We actually host across the street from the Speedway at the Running Elements. It's a local running store that we work with. Their store is literally 50 meters from the start finish line of the Jingle Jog. So it's just a little easier for people local within the community. Just pull in there, grab their packet. So it's during regular store hours for a great running store, the Running Elements, from as you said, 10 to 7. That's their store hours on Wednesday and Thursday, and Friday from 10 up until 5 p.m. because it is a 5:30 start for that run right at sunset.
And one additional comment, I've had a few email inquiries about parking for the Jingle Jog. One Daytona, as Andre mentioned previously, is a hub of restaurants and retail shopping. There is ample parking there. We want to make sure that people understand they do not need to go into Daytona International Speedway. They want to park at One Daytona, and there'll be a very short walk from both registration packet pickup as well as the finish line.
And that's right across that main drag from the stadium, from the track, right?
Yeah, right by the Bass Pro Shop.
And then after that, the sprint distance, middle distance races, those packet pickup are actually inside the track expo area. And those are available. The sprint distance race is from 9 to 5 on Friday. And that would be the preferred time. I always recommend doing everything as early as possible. So if at all feasible for you, you're racing the sprint distance race, pick up your packet sometime on Friday when available between 9 and 5. Now, there is that option. It makes for an early morning and perhaps even a little bit of rush in transition as you get everything set up. But there is the packet pickup available Saturday morning from 5 a.m. until 6 a.m. On race morning. Middle distance race, likewise, you can check in on Friday from 9 to 5 or Saturday from 8 to 5. Again, my recommendation is to get those done and out of the way as early as possible. Now, because we are at the International Speedway, there is the opportunity for hot laps. Guys, tell us about the hot laps. Those are Saturday between 2 and 5. What are the hot laps?
So if Phil wants to take it, but hot laps are a unique opportunity that we have at our venue. So you have a professional driver. the money taken in, the proceeds from hot laps are in support of the NASCAR Foundation, which is their nonprofit. And their mission is health and wellness in youth. I mean, so it really goes hand in hand with us. We've worked with them on bike builds. They have a pediatrics unit in the local hospital. They really do some really good work. So the proceeds from you signing up for hot laps help support the NASCAR Foundation and their mission of health and wellness in youths. But basically, professional driver, they put you in the car, you sit with them, and they go around the track, I think around 120, 130 miles an hour. So they get you up on the banking, you get to feel the G-forces. It's a pretty unique experience for sure. And if you've never been inside of a speedway of that size, it's 2.5 miles around, and just buzzing by at those speeds, it's pretty, it'll get your heart racing for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting too, John, as we spoke about earlier. The banking is pretty impressive. I've tried to ride up it on a mountain bike. You can't go straight up. If you try to do it at an angle, your crank hits. And when you see those cars go around in a NASCAR event, you don't have a full appreciation for just how steep it is.
Right.
But when you're at 120 miles an hour going through those turns, you can feel it pull you into the seat. It's super unique experience. Our pro athletes always love doing that, and it just is one of the unique things that we get to do at some of these facilities, like Homestead Miami track, and as well as DIS. So if you have the opportunity to do it, the money goes to a great cause, helps children, particularly with being active and healthy and getting bikes and all that stuff. So check it out if you have the chance.
Yeah, definitely a win-win. And yeah, when the first time I saw that track, it's a wall. It's like it's insane how
It's
steep
31 degrees
it is.
banking, so
Yeah, yeah, it's impressive. And I heard some of those guys they'll actually stop on those higher banked portion, and you can feel that it almost feels like the car is going to roll over because it is so steep. But super cool experience. So be sure to check out that. The registration for that is down at the expo. Is that correct?
yeah, so we have on-site registration at the expo. We also have a link on our website which takes you through to the NASCAR Foundation page. So a few different ways you can pre-register or register day of. It has the potential to sell out. We have a shorter window for hot laps this year than in previous years. We added the second sprint triathlon time, maintained the kids race. So the one thing that we had to shorten up on was the hours available for hot laps. So if you are interested, just get on our website. You can find information there to pre-purchase those tickets. Otherwise, you can always try for on-site registration if we still have availability.
So smart money is to sign up in advance to guarantee your slot.
Always. And if you ever had the desires to go around a NASCAR track at speed, I'd say do it, jump in. It's a very cool experience.
Yeah. Also, a very cool experience is checking out the Clash Daytona Village and Expo. Lots of great vendors down there. Last year, I actually picked up some cool stuff for my new bike that I got last year. So be sure to check out all of that. And then also check out the swim bike and run course. Now, I always recommend this headed into races, and this one is pretty easy, especially if you're camping there in the infield. The swim is right there. It's a great, as we already mentioned, great opportunity to go down and watch the pros do it, see how they handle the course, and see what tips you can pick up. Check out the transition area, see how they go through, how quickly, how efficiently they have everything set up. And then if you're racing the middle distance and going to be heading outside of the facility, it's not a bad idea to go and actually drive the section of the course. Not a whole lot to it. It's not real technical. It's not. It's flat. But I always like to know what I'm in store for on race day. So would recommend going and just checking that out, putting eyes on it. The Jingle Jog is a great opportunity to see part of the run course and just get an idea for what you'll experience on race day. But again, very similar. A lot of the run course is kind of right there within sight of packet pickup. But and then from there, enjoy the festival atmosphere. As I mentioned, really from the time things kick off to the times things end with the final awards. It really is a great festival atmosphere and a ton of fun, ton of stuff going on.
Yeah, we got live music, beer at the finish line, really good athlete food, and awards. Everybody, you want to stick around for awards. We actually have
Yes.
awards in Victory Lane. So when you see people win the Daytona 500, they pull their cars right in. That's where we get to host our award ceremonies through the weekend. So probably the most picturesque backdrop in terms of racing history, and we get to put you guys up on the podiums there. There's a little mini grandstand so your friends, loved ones can come and watch. And we do have several award ceremonies there through the weekend for the professional athletes on Friday, for the sprint distance. And those, and we've had some questions online, but the two different sprint races, there's a 7:05 and a 9:15 start. The results will be combined. So if you're racing 30 to 34 in the 7:05 or the 9:15, we're taking the fastest time from either for the awards. And that award ceremony is at 11 on Saturday. And then we will also have awards at 2 p.m. for the kids races, and then on Sunday for middle distance. So ample opportunity for folks to get on stage and get their pictures and take part in racing history.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to those awards last year. Super cool, as you mentioned. Very unique venue, really cool photo backdrop. So this was just a great graphic here to provide some. I don't even know that this adequately provides context as to how big this track is, how big the infield is. But effectively, every stadium within the state of Florida will fit within the infield of the stadium. So this is every Major League Baseball, NFL, college. It's all each one of these, which these are huge stadiums in their own right. Each one of them is very large, but then you can put each one of them in there, and you can see there's even some room sprinkled in there in between for some others. So this is just again an example of how big it is. So you wonder, yeah, how can we swim 1.2 miles? It's because Lake Lloyd is that big, and how can we have parking and camping and all that? It's because this stadium is that big. The first time I drove into Daytona and drove by the stadium, and it just kept going block after block after block. My mind was blown. But
Yeah.
it's such a cool facility.
Yeah, we love this graphic, and it's the largest sports venue in the state of Florida, and even the stadium portion of Daytona International Speedway, it has 102,000 fixed seats, which would make it the largest fixed seating venue in the state as well. So it's just mind-numbing and boggling to see when you're in there racing just how long and how big the stadium is. So it's very picturesque, almost surreal when you're racing around the speedway. It's 2.5 miles around one lap on the bike. So, but this graphic really does a good job putting into perspective how big the venue is.
Yeah, and I'm not a NASCAR guy. I appreciate it or respect it, but I'm not that quintessential NASCAR fan. But even for me, it was not lost on me how unique and special it was to get to spend some time on that track. It's just it's legendary and it's super cool. So even for those of us that are maybe not NASCAR fans, just to appreciate the vastness of it was really cool. So on race day, we will enter in through gate 40. So that is down here on this side. So it'll come off. This is the International Speedway Boulevard. This is kind of that main drag through Daytona. The thing I always looked for was the Cracker Barrel restaurant. Once I saw Cracker Barrel, I knew I was at the intersection. So it makes it super easy in and out access. So you'll come right in off of here, enter in through gate 40. Then you'll head through a tunnel. That's where I said I don't want to drive an RV, so I'm just going to have them deliver it for me. And so plenty of parking there in the infield, as we've shown. Dozens of major stadiums will fit in here, so your car and thousands of other cars from your new best friends will fit in there as well. But it makes for a nice, super easy ingress, egress on race day. All right, on Saturday, packet pickup is available for that sprint race starting at 5 a.m. until 6 a.m. But again, my recommendation, and I think the preference of Clash is that you would pick up on Friday. But if schedule dictates and Friday just isn't an option, you can pick up your packet there from 5 until 6. Transition is open from 5 a.m. until 6:45. And then shortly thereafter, we will kick things off with the national anthem and a fireworks show. So this is, most triathlons starting this early in the morning. The neighbors that live in the area get real mad if you start the day with fireworks, but when you're having your race there inside the Daytona track, you don't really have any neighbors to make mad. So really cool opportunity here to kick off the national anthem and fireworks there early in the morning. The first races start at 7:15 and 7:30. So the sprint triathlon goes off first. Duathlon starts shortly thereafter. For those
sorry,
racing,
John, minor note, I missed it when we were flipping through this presentation initially. We did alter the start time a little bit for this. The first sprint will be 7:05.
okay.
And then the duathlon will be 7:15. We're just doing that to minimize any chance for overlap with the 7:05 and the 9:15 start. So very minor difference. We will put that in the updated athlete guide, which will be out this week, updating the schedule on the web, and we will notify everyone by email. But it's just a 10-minute difference in the start time, but want everybody to be aware of that.
All right, thank you for that. Now, for those racing in the B race, which starts at 9:15, triathlon 9:30, duathlon, they have access to transition at that 5 to 6:45 time as well. Is that correct?
That is correct. So as you said, not just our preference from an operational standpoint, but for the athletes. If you're there for packet pickup on Friday and you're able to rack your bike, that just simplifies what you have to do race morning. You know, if your bike is there at the rack waiting for you race morning, you just have to carry in your nutrition, your shoes, your helmet. It's a lighter lift for you. So we'd encourage you to rack on Friday, but as you said, if schedule dictates otherwise, we do have opportunity for all athletes to come in the morning from 5 to 6:45 to access the transition. We'll close the transition at 6:45 to get everyone down towards the swim area for staging. But what if you're racing at 9:15 and you don't want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning? We do have a small window there from 8 to 8:55 where you'll have access to the transition. You can rack your bike then, pump up tires, drop off shoes. But again, I would encourage folks to drop it off Friday because you're going to come in most likely for a packet pickup on Friday anyhow.
Yep. Yep. And then after the race, for those racing the sprint distance, bike checkout is available and required from 10:30 until 12:30. For those racing the middle distance race the following day, there is the preferred bike check-in from 2 o'clock until 5 o'clock. But there is also a Sunday morning option as well that you can drop your bike between 5 and 6:45 on Sunday morning. But kind of as we just discussed, the preferred and recommended time would be there on Saturday afternoon, sometime between 2 and 5. And as we move into Sunday for the middle distance race, the transition will be open from 5 until 6:45. So hopefully you've got your bike dropped off the day before, but any last minute things that you need to do as far as getting everything set up, that'll be available from 5 until 6:45. We will do the fireworks again on Sunday morning. Super cool with the race starting at 7 o'clock. So all swims are in Lake Lloyd. So the water temperature will be announced at the briefings. Typically, it is wetsuit legal, and I would say typically is kind of a undermined word. I would say it is quite likely that it's going to be wetsuit legal. As far as I am aware, every year the race has happened, that water temperature has been in the low to mid 60s, which is quite below the wetsuit cutoff. So low to mid 60s is pretty chilly. So we definitely even recommend a wetsuit. Vast majority of the participants will be wearing wetsuits. So that's not really a question as far as this race. It will be wetsuit legal, just unless something crazy were to occur. The water is kind of murky, so it's a mud bottom lake, but it's clean. So there's just visibility kind of is what it is. Not a ton of visibility under the water. There, the direction is from the southwest to the northeast, and it is protected water. So even you can see from this picture that this is about as wide as the lake is. So clearly there's no currents or anything like that, not going to be any waves. If it is a windy morning, there could be some surface chop on top of the water, but should be pretty flat. And this is just a good fast swim, wetsuit legal. So this is a great opportunity to set a PR. Courses are all pretty geographical, pretty simple. So side off the buoys as well as that shoreline. So maybe it's checking every 5 to 10 strokes for the buoy ahead of you, but just every time you breathe, just kind of confirming that distance over to the shoreline.
Yeah, if you're able to bilateral breathe, obviously it's a rectangle, so if you can breathe to your left on the outbound leg, just maintain that distance from shore, that'll be helpful for you.
Onto the bike. The sprint course is 13 miles. It is 4.5 laps on the track. So a little pun here. Don't lose track of how many times you've made it around the track. Once you complete your portions on the track, you will do kind of a quick exit, spend some time on the perimeter of the track, and then head back in through a tunnel back into transition. But guys, tell us a little bit more about how the counting system works there.
Yeah, so reason we have to have everybody exit the track to get through the tunnel and back in is we don't want to have an athlete crossover from bike to run, because you'll be running a lap at the speedway as well. So when you're going down the back straight of Daytona Speedway, which is, I mean, that's probably as wide as a 8-lane highway back there, we will have linked with your timing system a 10-foot LED video screen back there, which will display your race number, your last name, and the lap that you are on. So it's 4.5 laps. We'll also in sequence have signage probably every 10 to 15 meters. So it'll say lap 1. Next sign you come across will say lap 2, lap 3, lap 4. It will not say lap 5, it will say exit. So when you are coming by there at what would be your 5th time, you will turn right and you basically go through the concrete barrier wall of the backstretch of Daytona International Speedway. So there's a couple ways you can keep track of it. Again, following those signs. If you've gone by sign 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the next time you go by there, you will exit. And again, on the video Jumbotron, it will count up 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you see 5 is when you're going to exit. So the onus is on the athletes to count, but we're going to make it a little simpler this year with additional signage. And we will have someone back there with a bullhorn calling out the names of people who are supposed to be exiting. So it gets a little thick with bike traffic back there, but you want to just ride heads up and try to pay attention. So you'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you will exit. So you'll see exactly where that exit point is on each lap. Just make a mental note of it, of where it is, so you can keep track of your laps. And most folks will be riding with some form of GPS or bike computer. That exit point there will be right about mile 11.9 or mile 12 to get you out of off the track and back into the infield.
Awesome. All right, moving on to the middle distance, 56 miles. You'll start with a half lap on the track, so a little bit easier, nothing to get confused there. And then head out for 2 laps along that Highway 92. One aid station that you're going to pass 4 times. We've talked about this a couple times. It is going to be on your left. Just as a reminder there, be proficient taking bottles or whatever it is that you want to take with your left hand. So that'll be available on both sides, and then each lap. So again, one aid station that you're going to pass 4 times. So by that 4th time, you should be a pro at taking bottle hand ups with your left hand. Something of note is to mind the grade on the track. We already talked about this a little bit. There's different embankments on different portions of the track, but there's always a little bit. So if you ride up a little bit further, just know that you're going to be kind of riding up on that embankment, which is a little bit different feel. There is an exception to our standard rules. When riding on the track, you're going to ride to the left and pass on the right. So generally, the rule is we stay all the way to the right while riding. For those racing the middle distance, that will be the case once you exit the track and we're on the normal roads. You're going to stay to the right, pass on the left as if any other time you're racing or driving or anything like that. However, time on the track, we're going to stay to the left, and then if you need to pass someone, you will pass to the right. So make sure that you're communicating that. So a little bit different. Instead of hollering out on your left, we're going to be saying on your right, just again so that they know not only are they about to be passed, but just as a reminder that they're going to be passed on the right, which is a little bit different than what we're used to as opposed to being passed on the left.
Yeah, and again, there's plenty of space. Athletes will be surprised, almost blown away by how wide the speedway is. So when you're out there, just call out, on your right, on your right. Let me get by when you get a chance. Just talk to one another. There's plenty of space for making passes and such, and just enjoy the day.
Absolutely. From there, we'll head on to the run course. The run is flat, except for the little bit of grade that's there as well. So again, not a NASCAR guy, but I learned a term that inside part of the track is referred to as the apron. And there's actually even a little bit of embankment to that. So it's almost like maybe just kind of an uneven sidewalk that maybe you're running on. So there's a little bit of that. So just kind of be aware. And as I mentioned, not much shade, so there's potential for a lot of sun. So if we're getting up into the mid 70s, and it's a bright, clear day, just keep that in mind. The sprint is one loop around the track. There is an aid station midway to get your water and everything else. Middle distance is a 2-loop course. It starts on the main track and then kind of diverges over into the infield track and then exit out to the parking area. So there's a little bit of time spent on the outside of the track. Then you come back in, and then this is something new for this year that I'm really looking forward to. Going to be super cool is actually Jingle Jog Part 2, where a section of that run course goes through the Christmas lights, and this is the one portion of the course that will be shaded. So this is kind of under the stadium, under the grandstands. So there's going to be Christmas lights, Christmas music, and all that going on. So that's going to be a super fun section of the course. It's late in the loop, so maybe this is just a great little pick-me-up that you need prior to completing that first loop and then prior to completing the race. So there are going to be
John,
6, 8. Yep.
It's an interesting point with coming under the grandstands, under the stadium. So we enter under the stadium off of the front stretch of the speedway off the track, and it's one way. It's 0.6 of a mile long, to give you some idea of just how big that stadium portion of the speedway is. And it's basically an out and back that we're running underneath the stadium. So it provides shade, which is great if it's hot. The shade is nice because it also makes those Christmas lights pop as they got them turned on during the day, and there's music plumb through there. So with it being an out and back, that's 1.2 miles per lap, or roughly 2.4 miles in total that you'll be running under direct shade with Christmas lights and Christmas music. So very festive, fun, and we think it's a real good improvement to the course from prior years.
Yeah, I mean that's almost a quarter, maybe 20% of the course or so is going to be along that section. So that's great. And I love the timing of it as well. Like I said, right before, not too long before you head to the finish, you get that little bit of a pick me up. So maybe the finish line adrenaline will start early. There are 6 aid stations per lap. So again, 2-loop course, going to be hitting those twice, 12 total. So approximately every mile. So lots of opportunities there for your hydration. All right, so we're actually take a look at the courses now. So the sprint, as we said, is everything is in Lake Lloyd, 800-meter sprint course. It's all largely the same course. They're all a rectangle. So just the distance is kind of the one thing that is different. So all the races start down here on this section, on this stretch. It's kind of a beach entrance. Nice and easy to wade in, dive in, whatever it is that you want to do. 800 meters out and back, then you'll head over into the transition area. So headed into bike out, you'll cut across, hit the track, and then as we mentioned here, that's what we talked about pretty extensively. You're going to do your loops, checking for that sign each time. It's going to count you off, lap 1, lap 2, and then when you see your turn to exit around mile 12, that's going to be here on this section of the track. So once you hit mile 12, you're told to exit. You'll pop out over here. You're now on the backside, outside of the track, coming around, hitting into the tunnel, and this tunnel will bring you back into transition, where you will start the run. So now we're over here, run back through, this is kind of the village area, as well as the RV parking hangout area. So kind of start along the track, hit a little bit of the infield, and then back here along on the track, got your aid station there, approximately halfway, finish off the loop, and head into the finish line. The duathlon is very comparable, same bike, same run course, but instead of swimming, there is the out and back run right there kind of around the lake. So those participating in the duathlon don't get in the water. Probably don't have to tell you that, but there is a 1 mile out and back run that is going to start your day. As we move on to the middle distance, the swim course looks a whole lot like the sprint, just a little bit longer. So it's effectively the full length of Lake Lloyd. But as I mentioned before, just a great opportunity for a fast swim. You'll have that beach entrance, hugging those buoys, signing off that shoreline, out and back, and hopefully a PR swim for you. Those participating in the middle distance duathlon, a little bit longer run, but same thing, kind of a long Lake Lloyd, heads out, U-turns back, and then there actually is it is a two loop, so you'll do that twice. You can see the U-turn point is there. Then head off into the bike course. So bike course starts with a half lap around the track. So you'll come out of transition and come around the track this way. There'll be a back exit, head out, then you'll do this section up to the north, back to the south, and then we are along the highway here where vast majority of the course will be. So you'll head out. As we've said several times, you'll have that aid station on your left hand, U-turn, aid station on your left, and then U-turn here, aid station, U-turn, and head back into the transition area, where you will start the run. So run out, kind of similar to the sprint, working your way through along this infield track, and then back out onto the main track. You'll exit out the back. This is the same location, I believe, where the bike exits out. So you should be familiar with this exit point by the time you get to the run. Spend a little bit of time out here outside, heading into the parking / RV area, a couple aid stations along the way there.
That little half circle out there, John, on the right there,
This
that's
one?
actually the Daytona flat track. Anyone familiar
Okay.
with motorcycle
Yes.
racing, where it's a quarter-mile lap that they race motorcycles on? So we thought that'd be a nice addition, just to bring a little more of the other kind of racing into our kind of racing, and let athletes just experience more of Daytona and all it has to offer.
Yeah, super. Yeah, last year I remember the course kind of went off this way, but that's cool to add that in. And then once that is complete, come back around, get your aid station there, head back around the backside of the track, and then this is where we will head into the Christmas Wonderland in this section up here. That's what we talked about before. So running up under there, U-turn and head back. First lap, you'll repeat all of that. Second lap, you'll head to that magical finish line. Anything to add there, guys?
No, just don't enter the finish line after your first lap. Hopefully, you know at 6.5 miles whether you should be done or not. Might be a little tease for some athletes, knowing that you're literally running right by the finish line at the end of your first lap. But it should be some motivation, music there, some of the crowd, some spectator support. But you just got to go out and do one more lap of the course when you go by there.
Yep, you've done it once, you can do it again. So that's always a moniker I say. So cool. All right, so from there we're gonna head into the finish. Enjoy the finish. It is it's unique. It is fun. This is really a finish line like no other, especially given the backdrop and everything. Tons of energy, and you can really kind of envelop that spirit of racing that is going on in there. Find your support crew and loved ones. There's a great area there, kind of right along the finish that is going to be spectator line. So if you can take just a second to find your loved ones, your support crew, that'll be great. And then begin to refuel your body and begin that active recovery. So I'm confident your body is going to be in a severely depleted state. Your body has been good to you. Need to make sure that you are now good to your body, replenishing it. As mentioned, there's going to be beer at the finish line. So take part of that, enjoy it, but also keep in mind that your body's going to need some of those other things as well. So be good to your body after your body has been good to you. All right, that is what I got. Andre, Philip, anything else to add?
I think we covered most of the high notes. Again, look for it later this week. We'll be sending out an email to registered athletes with a link to the athlete guide. We'll, again, posting it up on our website and on social. Any questions you guys have, reach out to us, via Facebook, emails in through our page. We're pretty good at responding to all athlete inquiries. No such thing as a silly question. We'll try and answer and accommodate everybody, and we're just excited to see everybody come out and have fun. It's a great weekend, just celebrate fitness, being together and having fun before the holidays.
Yeah, and I know, Friday's a work day and school day. For those that have the opportunity to come out and check out the pro race, Alicia Kay, who manages the professional piece of what we do and raced 22 years professionally has teed up a fantastic pro field. So I think we're going to see a mixture of long course, middle distance, as well as ITU athletes. So for those of you that have the chance to come out and check out the pros, it'll be fun and exciting, and it's a great way to get a bit of motivation before you race either on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. All right. Well, I can say I know I speak for myself when I say I am definitely looking forward to it. And guys, I appreciate the feedback you've given me, helped me prepare for my race. As always, Clash does such an amazing job of providing good quality information and then putting on an amazing event. So thank you for everything you guys are doing. Just a reminder, be sure to check out that Q&A session coming up, as well as that athlete guide that's going to be coming out later this week. So with that said, wish you guys all the best. Hope the last couple of weeks here go really well for you. Hope your training, your taper, all that is fantastic. I look forward to seeing you guys in Daytona and having the pleasure of racing with you. All right, guys, we'll see you then.
Cool. Thanks, John.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having us.